Kalamazoo's Rock Station 107.7 RKR. Mark Frankhouse, Meatball the Rocker Morning Show.
Yeah.
We are here with a very special guest. Very excited to talk to this guy. Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, founder of Buffalo Springfield, all around great guy and awesome musician Richie Furay. Thanks for hanging out with us today, man.
Hey, my pleasure, man.
Dude, how's it been over the pandemic? Obviously seems like you've been staying busy.
Well, we got shut down like everybody else because this record, Richie Furay and the Country, we recorded the basic tracks in November 2019. So we all kind of had our little hiatus there for a few minutes.
No doubt. And now that's coming out next month?
Yep. It's actually, it'll be July 8th. Did some country covers, and I'm really happy about it, man, because it fit right in my groove of country rock. And so I just got some favorite songs of mine and did a redo of them, and we'll see whether people, how they grab onto it.
Now, I'm curious, Richie, like what specifically about the songs that you picked were the ones that gravitated, for you to do them for this record?
I think at one point in time as I was getting a little older, country music just kind of grabbed my heart. And these were all songs, pretty much, most of them, that somewhere along the line over the last 10 years or so have really they've really spoken to my heart. I think, they've all got a good positive message, and that's one thing that I want to send out with this record. But I think that's the main thing, the melody. I love the artists. I mean, anywhere from Keith Urban to Leanne Womack to, Mark Cohen, Lone Star, just a whole bunch of people that have just really written some good songs, and I thought, look, I want to try and give my take to them and see what happens.
The I'm in a Hurry, the Alabama cover on this one too. That one looks and sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, I tell you, that was my life. That's why I mean, it still is sometimes, man. I keep wondering, why don't you just slow down a little bit, guys?
Right.
On this album, you worked with the producer, I think it was Val Garay.
Val Garay.
He's won a bunch of Grammys. I know he's worked with James Taylor in the past, too. Is this your first time working with him?
No, I've known Val since Buffalo Springfield days back in 1965, and Val actually recorded an album of mine in 1979 called I Still Have Dreams. But yeah, he was producer of the year way back when, so he's really talented, and I'll tell you what, he still has a good ear for an old guy.
I'll bet so, man. I mean, you guys have put together some incredible stuff, and I mean, obviously some of it landed you in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I mean, you guys working together, I'm sure it's just a dream again.
Oh, it was. When he came and asked me if I'd like to do this project with him, I didn't even hesitate. It was, of course, I would really love to do it because I didn't know if I was going to be recording too many more albums.
Yeah, no doubt. But you got a lot of musicians on this one too. I know you're working with Jason Sheff's on this album, right?
Yes, he is on it.
That's great.
He's on it. Vince Gill's on it. My good friend Timothy B. Schmidt's on it. Let me see. John Barry actually sang a whole verse and a duet like on the record. So yeah, it was fun getting a few folks to come in and just participate with me.
Now you've actually worked with both bass players from the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I supplied the Eagles with their bass players.
You're welcome, Eagles.
I was their farm team, man. Yeah, Randy Meisner and Timothy B. both, man.
Take it to the limit. You can thank me, okay?
Yeah, well, that's what I get for letting Glenn Fry sit on my living room floor when I'm rehearsing Poco, man. He came in and then took my bass players.
That's great, dude.
Oh, man.
Now, going back to your days with Buffalo Springfield, I mean, what was that like working with Stephen Stills and Neil Young, like way back in the day? What was your relationship like? Do you still maintain a relationship with any of them today, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen and I just did an interview together for a documentary that's coming out on me. My manager's putting together, and actually, Stephen, Neil, and I are getting together in Los Angeles in about 2 weeks to actually do some more interviews for it. And Cameron Crowe is going to be doing he's going to be doing the interview for us. So yeah, we still see each other, and we don't, not a lot, but you know what? Yeah. Every once in a while, it comes up, and there we are.
That's awesome. Have you guys discussed maybe doing anything in the future, like a light, small tour schedule, like as a kind of reunion thing, or is it just kind of like one-off?
Probably not.
Yeah.
We did this about 10 years ago,
right,
and it was really a lot of fun. We did 8 shows together, Stephen and Neil and I, along with Joe Vitale, and Rick Rosas, and we thought we were going to do maybe across the country, do 30 shows or so, but you know what? Didn't happen.
Yeah.
One guy pulled out, so
it happens. What are some, because you've collaborated with so many people, like what are some of your favorite collaborations that you've done, and maybe some that you haven't done that you'd like to?
Well, I think as I just look back over the whole career, and I look at the people that I have played with, there's where I've really played with some outstanding musicians, and I hope, they think the same, of me as we contributed together. But I mean, with Buffalo Springfield, with Stephen Stills and Neil Young, but then in Poco, with Rusty Young and Paul Cotton and Jimmy Messina, with Chris Hillman from the Byrds and J.D. Souther when we did Souther, Hillman, Furay, and I've just had an opportunity, and all these things have just fallen into place. I've never really said, "Oh boy, I gotta, let me try and find this guy's number to see if he wants to do." It's just happened, and so it's just been really neat, man. How it just kind of falls into place.
We actually talked to Jimmy Pankow a couple of days ago, and from Chicago, and he was talking about, he's like, man, like little did we know, when we were, in the 60s, when we were like, late teens, young adults, that here we are, 55 years later, still performing, and still performing at a top level too. And I personally, I attribute that to just always following your heart and playing true to yourself and not trying to fall into any trends and trying to stay relevant. You just continue to be relevant because you're a musician at heart.
Well, that's certainly what I've tried to do, and it's been really good. I mean, even taking a 10-year hiatus for a while and then coming back and picking it up again. And
no doubt,
it's just been good.
Okay, I've got kind of a weird question for you.
I don't do weird questions.
Oh, okay, on to the next.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not falling for that one.
Yeah.
No, this is...
All right, let me hear it.
Okay, so this is interesting. My dad texted me when I told him I was going to be talking to you. He said, hey, do me a favor. Ask him if he remembers these two. My dad went to the James Gang reunion tour some years ago, and he said that these people that met you, they said they knew you, and they actually got his ticket signed by Joe Walsh, Jim Fox, and the rest. Their names are Jim and Stephanie Landry.
Never heard of them.
Really? That is.
I don't know him.
That's funny because he's like, ask him if he remembers Jim and Stephanie Landry, because apparently, according to them, they grew up with you. So if you're not remembering,
well, I'm getting real old, so my memory doesn't serve me so well. But
I think that's one of those cases of embellishing, like, oh yeah, he went to the same high school 4 years before me. We grew up with him. Never met him.
You'd be surprised how many best friends I have out there.
Boy, especially after getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I'll bet you had friends and relatives coming out of the woodwork.
Oh boy, let me tell you, man. Hey, here's your best friend.
Well, I can't wait to play Kalamazoo, the interview with my best friend, Richie Furay.
Hey,
oh boy,
Richie, I know we were talking a little bit before we got going on this interview. You said you've actually got a couple guitars that were made here in Kalamazoo. You've got some original Gibsons out there, right?
Oh yeah, I do. So a 355, and I got a J200. I don't know if I have a 335 that's from back there. I can't remember, but I know my 355 it was done in 1959, and my J200 was a 53. So I'm sure that those are Kalamazoo special.
No doubt.
I'd be curious. Like, do you still play them? Obviously, do you still play them when you go out on the road? Like, if you were playing in the area, like, would we see these Kalamazoo guitars in your hands?
Actually, if I knew I was coming to Kalamazoo, I'd make a special deal to bring one back. But these guitars, actually the 355 is in Nashville right now. They're doing a display on Country Rock, and so I've got it in the Country Rock display in Nashville. And my J200, I just keep it at home because some of these you just don't want to. At my level of travel, I don't want to travel with them. I've had too many come up missing at once. I had two 335 12s back in the Buffalo Springfield days stolen. So somebody's got a couple of my 12 strings that were probably made in Kalamazoo as well.
That's a heartbreaker.
You mentioned this record is kind of delving into obviously your country roots and stuff. I'm curious about, dipping your toe in both worlds, the rock and roll and the country world. Like which one, if you have a preference, which one do you prefer, or what maybe do you like about both worlds?
Man, it's the country world. I think the country world for me is just a little more real, especially right now. I think it's the closest thing to music, and certainly the music that I've been associated with, and even kind of started to promote way back in Springfield when I did a song called Child's Claim to Fame and Kind Woman. Mm-hmm. Those both had country flavors, and that's when Jimmy Messina and I took off with Picking Up the Pieces, to kind of put together a country rock sound. And so along with the Byrds and the Burrito Brothers, we kind of started a genre of music back in the very mid to late 60s.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you see a lot of those. Yeah, and really it's right around that time you see a lot of musicians, Marshall Tucker Band, Elvin Bishop, even Commander Cody, who's from Ann Arbor over here. And you see that, how much that may have impacted rock and roll music, because there is that walking that fine line. And that's the beauty of people like yourself and bands like that too, is being able to sway back and forth between country rock and blues rock. There's a fine line, and it's very easy to kind of weave in and out of that. And personally, I love those shows, man. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, well, awesome.
So you got
I'm speechless now, man.
You did it, Mark. You made Richie speechless.
Best friends.
You asked him weird questions and made him speechless now.
You guys are great, man. It is early. No, it's not as early there as it is here, but I grew up in Ohio, just down the road from you guys.
Oh, he grew up in Ohio.
It's okay. We'll let you slide.
Yeah, we'll let you slide on that one.
I won't hold that against you by any means. Hey, you know what? You're here. That's the most important thing. And you've got some shows coming up too. I know you've got a show coming up Friday in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm leaving tomorrow for New York City. Going to play at the City Winery.
Sweet.
I just got back from Nashville, did the City Winery in Nashville, and also the Grand Ole. I waited 50 years to do the Grand Ole Opry, and I got to do the Grand Ole Opry last Friday. And was in SoPac in South Orange, New Jersey, doing a couple shows. So yeah, I get out and play. I'm going out mainly on my terms now. When and where and whatever. But I want people to hear this album. So I want to go out and support it as much as I can. And I'll tell you, with the way the economy and all, it's kind of hard to get a band from here to there anymore.
Sure. I have to ask you one last thing, Richie. You mentioned that you finally got to play the Grand Ole Opry. Mm-hmm. That is one of those moments where I see people get on that stage and immediately burst into tears because of that moment. Was it an emotional moment for you to finally get up on that stage to play?
Oh, listen, you bet. I mean, waiting 50 years, and when you just even look at that circle that was cut out of the Ryman, and brought over to the Hall of Country Music, the Grand Ole Opry again. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, you just stand there and you think, man, all the people that stood in this same little circle. Just that little circle, and it does, man. It wells you up. Now, I will say, it was probably one of the most, touching moments in my life, but it was not as touching as it was standing on the southern steps in Jerusalem.
Oh, wow, man.
Other than that, man, I think the Grand Ole Opry held a good place.
That's great. Well, hey, man, if you ever want to come to Kalamazoo, we'll take care of you for sure.
Hey, man, love talking with you guys, man. It sounds like you're having a great time, and I hope you enjoy the record that we made. And I can call it a record because it's on vinyl, too. So
yeah.
Perfect, man.
So I hope you enjoy it, man, and you guys have a good time, and it's just been great talking to you.
Hey, our pleasure, dude. Thanks so much for hanging out with us.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Thank you, Richie.
Bye-bye, man. Thank you.